This is episode 185 of Teacher Approved.
You're listening to Teacher Approved, the podcast helping educators elevate what matters and simplify the rest. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Emily. We're the creators behind Second Story Window, where we give research-based and teacher-approved strategies that make teaching less stressful and more effective. You can check out the show notes and resources from each episode at secondstorywindow.net.
We're so glad you're tuning in today. Let's get to the show.
Hey there! Thanks for joining us today. In today's episode, we're sharing 6 ideas for simplifying test prep season and sharing a teacher-approved tip for celebrating student growth.
Let's start with a Try It Tomorrow, where we share a quick win that you can try in your classroom tomorrow. Emily, what's our Try It Tomorrow prompt this week?
Okay, try adding a funny word to your transition prompt. We recommend using an action cue whenever you're preparing students for a transition. So this means that students are listening to the whole of your instructions instead of moving as soon as they think they know what you want. Because let's be honest, most of the time they're not right. They just think they know. So our standard one is when I say go, I want you to turn in your paper and come to the rug. Or, whatever you want your students to do. But for a little fun, try mixing it up and say, when I say popcorn, or when I say megalosaurus, or when I say oobledy-goobledy.
We did a deep dive into transitions back in episodes 48, 49, and 50. So, 3 episodes. It was a deep dive.
It's good stuff, though. Go listen.
So go back and check those out if you need a refresher. Now, at this point in the year, your class could probably use some surprise and delight, and changing up your action cue is a simple way to add a little sparkle to a routine task.
If you like this Try It Tomorrow idea or anything else we share here on the podcast, would you take a second and give us a 5-star rating and review? Ratings and reviews are one way that new listeners find us, so every rating and review is a really big help to us. Today, we're continuing our series on test prep. For this last week, we're discussing our best, super actionable tips for test prep and testing season. And we've got 6 tips to help you out. Our first tip is to build retrieval practice into every day. So tell us more about that, Heidi.
If you have been listening for a while, you know how much we love the powerful tool of retrieval practice. We just don't like having to say retrieval practice.
It's a real mouthful.
Every time. So we dove into that back in episode 182. So go back and check that out if you haven't listened yet.
Retrieval practice is one of the most effective ways to help students move their learning from short-term to long-term memory. And then the more practice they have retrieving information from their long-term memory, the easier it is for them to recall that information again in the future.
So we really want to make retrieval practice a natural and regular part of the day instead of something that you're only doing during test prep.
Yes. Instead of cramming before the test, because let's be honest, cramming is just organized panic.
I like that.
You want to build short daily review moments into your routine.
Our favorite suggestion is to add spiral review morning work to your morning routine to get that daily retrieval practice. When it's just a part of your daily schedule, you can make sure that you are getting that high quality review time every day without a lot of effort.
Bet you didn't know we were going to talk about morning work, did you? But morning work isn't the only option for spiral review. Quick quizzes, brain dumps, or even partner discussions where students recall information from earlier in the year all do the job of getting students to activate that prior learning.
We want to help students retrieve information in low stakes, engaging ways so that recalling it during a test feels more natural and less intimidating. And the best part, doesn't have to feel like a chore. Retrieval practice can be fun.
That sounds like something nerds would say, like math can be fun, but retrieval practice really can be fun. So you can try turning it into a game or a challenge to keep the engagement high. Whiteboards are perfect for quick recall exercises or having students quiz each other in pairs. By consistently retrieving past information, you're helping your students strengthen their memory and feel more confident.
Let's move on to tip 2. Reduce the pressure of testing with a growth mindset. Testing, as you know, can feel so high stakes, but we don't want our students to feel that pressure. Instead, we want to help them see testing as just one part of their learning journey.
Yeah, one way we can normalize testing is by emphasizing effort over perfection. Praise their hard work instead of the end result, and celebrate their progress along the way. Basically, let's make it less about get it right or else and more about look how much you've learned.
A great way to reinforce this is by sharing stories of perseverance and growth. You could try reading a book about persistence or sharing a personal story about a time that you had to work hard to achieve something. If you have student work samples from earlier in the year, hand it back to the kids and let them see how far they've come.
Yeah, I loved doing that with our morning workbooks because we were lucky and we had the whole year bound together. And so it was really fun to take a few minutes in the spring and have them look back at how easy those early pages seem. And then I remind them that at the start of the year, those pages were tricky for them to do. And look how much they've grown since then.
I love that so much. Let's be real. We all know that students pick up on our energy. If we are feeling stressed, they're going to feel stressed. So take a deep breath, put on your best chill teacher vibe, and remind them that they are more than a test score. A test is just a snapshot of their progress, not the full picture of their abilities.
That brings us to tip 3. As you know, testing season can feel very unpredictable, but keeping your classroom routine steady can help students feel safe and prepared. When the rest of the school day stays the same, testing doesn't feel like such a huge disruption to the day.
Your morning routines are especially important at this time. If students usually start the day with a morning meeting or morning work, try to keep that in place. Predictability is comforting. It signals to students that, yes, testing is happening, but the rest of their school experience remains the same.
And one thing I found helpful was to add a short mindfulness or a breathing exercise to set a calm tone before testing begins. So I just added that to our morning routine. So you could do a few deep breaths, a quick stretch, or even a ridiculous shake the nerves out dance can make a big difference.
We want our students feeling their best when it comes time for testing, and that is our 4th tip, focus on student well-being. A well-rested, well-fed, and emotionally supported student will perform much better on a test than one who is exhausted and anxious.
And let's be honest, that is true for all of us. Nobody does their best work when they're running on 3 hours of sleep and an old granola bar from their desk drawer.
But not that you would know from experience, right?
Oh, never.
Encourage families to prioritize good sleep habits and healthy breakfast in the days leading up to testing. Ideally, this would be every day, but we'll take what we could get. A simple reminder in your class newsletter or a quick message home can make a big difference. Now, of course, you can't control what happens at home, but hopefully some reminders will go a long way.
And then in the classroom, don't be afraid to take breaks. Even a few minutes of stretching, deep breathing, or a quick brain break can help students reset and refocus. Think of it like hitting refresh on a slow-loading web page.
Another way to focus on your students' well-being is to set up a calm testing environment. And that is our 5th tip. The classroom environment itself can make a big difference in student comfort during testing time. A few small adjustments like decluttering, opening the blinds, or bringing in a lamp, or even adding a plant can create a more relaxed space, and bonus points if the plant is still alive by the time testing's over.
When it comes to classroom setup, seating arrangements matter too. Let students sit in ways that feel comfortable while still maintaining test integrity. So your hands may be a little tied with what you can do here.
That's tricky.
But if you have the flexibility, some students might prefer a little more personal space, but others might do better if they're near a supportive friend.
If your testing regulations permit, you could even allow small comfort items like a stress ball or a lucky pencil to help ease those testing nerves. Familiar objects can provide reassurance and a sense of control in an otherwise unfamiliar situation. If a lucky pencil helps students feel more confident, we are all for it.
And it turns out that luck is lucky. Researchers have found that believing you have luck on your side increases your belief that you're capable of doing what you set out to do. That belief actually boosts mental and physical performance, even in people who don't believe in luck. In one study, people who were told that a golf ball was lucky putted better than people who weren't told that. So go ahead and give your kids a lucky charm before the test. We could all use a little more luck.
Heidi here. If you are enjoying this episode, will you do us a favor and pause what you're doing right now and leave us a 5-star rating and a review on Apple Podcasts? Reviews help to grow our show, and they mean so much. We read and appreciate every single one.
And lucky you, we have a sixth tip. Include more movement and free time in your plans. Testing days can be long and mentally exhausting, so be sure to build in plenty of movement and free time.
I know when I finish a hard day of work, I need time and space to decompress. The kids deserve that too. These little breaks can make a big difference in helping students stay engaged and reduce stress.
Here on the podcast, we often talk about structure and novelty in the classroom. When those forces are more or less balanced, kids are engaged. If you tip too far into structure, kids get bored. If you tip too far into novelty, they get overwhelmed.
Most of the school year, we have to work to counter too much novelty, throwing our students into chaos. But during testing, we have the opposite problem. With so much structure around testing procedures, we need to make a conscious effort to add some more novelty into the school day.
Don't worry, novelty does not have to look like piñatas and pillow fights. We want to keep it simple. Plan for brain breaks, stretching activities, or even a quick walk outside to help students reset. Nobody wants to sit in one spot for hours. Just ask your Fitbit.
And after testing is finished for the day, give students time to decompress with quiet play, reading, free time, or a low-pressure creative activity. Let's not make those tired little brains jump right back into long division.
No, they would not. Thank you for that. So with testing season on the horizon, keep these 6 tips in mind to save your sanity. Build retrieval practice into every day. Reduce pressure by focusing on growth mindset. Keep your daily routines predictable. Focus on student well-being. Set up a calm testing environment. And plan for more movement and creativity.
We would love to hear your best tips for testing season. Come join the conversation in our teacher-approved Facebook group.
Now let's talk about this week's teacher-approved tip. Each week we leave you with a small actionable tip to elevate what matters and simplify the rest. This week's teacher-approved tip is have a celebration before testing begins. Tell us about this one, Emily.
This is a fun idea that I saw on the blog, Teaching Mini People. The idea is that before testing even starts, you can have a small celebration to recognize how much students have learned. A little pre-test hype can go a long way.
Yes, a class party, a fun activity, or even just an encouraging conversation can boost morale and confidence. Maybe your students could write letters of encouragement to themselves, right? A pep talk from our past selves can go a long way. You could also have them make testing hype posters. That sounds fun. Or come up with their own motivational slogans. Bonus points if they can make them rhyme.
When students feel their hard work is validated, they'll be more likely to approach testing with a positive attitude. Plus, who doesn't love a good reason to celebrate? Maybe just hold off on the confetti because that stuff gets everywhere.
Oh yeah, you'll be finding that for months. To wrap up the show, we're sharing what we're giving extra credit to this week. Emily, what are you giving extra credit to this week?
I'm giving extra credit to a little television program you may have heard of called Severance. And I'm here talking about this to you, Heidi, who has never seen it, so you can't appreciate anything I'm saying, but maybe the listeners can. I am completely obsessed with Severance right now. I did not watch season 1 until season 2 had just started. And I have to say, that was a brilliant move on my part because I didn't have that 3-year wait that other people had between season 1 and season 2.
Well played. Well played.
I was sucked into this show from the start, though. You all probably already know, if you haven't seen it, that the premise is that Severance is about employees who choose to work for a company where their personal and work lives are surgically separated in their brains. So their work selves are called innies and their home selves are their outies.
I don't like it.
No, it's so funny. The severed employees are basically living 2 lives at the same time, but with no knowledge of what's happening in the other life. Season 2 is about halfway done airing, and I literally count down the days to the new episode every week. I'm discussing Severance and sending Severance memes to my brother pretty much every day. The work is mysterious and important. Not that you'll get that reference.
No, I will not.
Yet, I will get you to watch it.
Up.
It is really fun to be watching it at the same time that everybody else is watching it because I'm frequently not on the hot show when everybody else is. So it's kind of fun to be in on the thing that everybody's talking about.
There you go.
What are you giving extra credit to, Heidi?
Well, I'm giving extra credit to calming AI videos.
Oh,
Very different vibe. And I know, there's a lot of ethical implications about AI, and we can talk about that another day. But today, I just want to focus on the lovely, calming AI videos of cottages that have, a fireplace and a simmering pot of stew, or fields of flowers nodding in the breeze. I have a second Instagram account that I wasn't using. And so on that account, I started following relaxing videos like people making candles and picture books and nature photos. And then I found these AI accounts with fuzzy yellow penguins splashing in streams and boats floating through the sky. One person I follow just seems to make like cozy cafe videos, and I'm here for it. Just thinking about it, I feel like my blood pressure's dropped. I switched over to that account to unwind at the end of the day, and it's been so delightful to just scroll knowing that everything is lovely and relaxing. I don't have to get upset or do anything with the information I'm seeing. So I highly recommend setting up a second account and make that algorithm work in your favor and show you all the calming, lovely things.
That's smart to do it on an account that's like just for that. So you can really highly curate it and weed out the other stuff that at other times you might want to see, but not when you're trying to relax.
Yes. And like some of those AI creators will suck you in with like, oh, calming, beautiful castle in the meadow. And then the next episode will be like giant sharks on the land. Like, nope, out, gone.
How dare they? Well, you'll need your calming AI scene Instagram account to look at after you're all worked up about Severance. So
good to know. I'll keep it handy. That's it for today's episode. Use our 6 tips to get ready for testing season. And don't forget our teacher-proof tip for celebrating student growth.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Teacher Approved. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Emily. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow or subscribe in your podcast app so that you never miss an episode.
You can connect with us and other teachers in the Teacher Approved Facebook group. We'll see you here next week. Bye for now.
Bye.